All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I am Tanvi Taneja and with me is VC Pramod. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India-European Union partnership can play an important role in economic reconstruction and humanity-centric globalization. Prime Minister presents new mantra for youth to skill, reskill and upskill to remain relevant in changing business environment. Fortnight-long lockdown imposed in Bihar from today to control the spread of coronavirus. Health Ministry says recovery rate of COVID-19 improves to 63.24% in the country. Nearly 6 lakh people recovered so far. World Health Organization and UNICEF warn against the decline in number of children receiving life-saving vaccines around the world due to the pandemic. Flood fury continues in Assam. Chief Minister Sarbanand Sonowal to take stock of the Kaziranga National Park today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said India and the European Union are natural partners and their partnership is significant for peace and stability in the world. The Prime Minister was addressing the 15th meeting of the India-European Union Summit held in virtual mode yesterday.
एक एक्शन ओरिएंटेड एजेंडा बनाना चाहिए जिसे निर्धारित समय में कार्यान्वित किया जा सके। भारत और ईयू नेचुरल पार्टनर है। हमारी पार्टनरशिप विश्व में शांति और स्थिरता के लिए भी उपयोगी है। यह वास्तविकता आज की वैश्विक स्थिति में और भी स्पष्ट हो गई है। हम दोनों ही डेमोक्रेसी, प्लुरलिज्म, इंक्लूसिविटी, रिस्पेक्ट फॉर इंटरनेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस, मल्टीलेटरलिज्म, फ्रीडम, ट्रांसपेरेंसी जैसी यूनिवर्सल वैल्यूज शेयर करते हैं.
The Prime Minister said his government is committed to strengthen and deepen the relations between India and the European Union and highlighted the need to adopt a long-term strategic perspective for this.
कोविड-19 के कारण हमें मार्च में इंडिया-ईयू समिट स्थगित करनी पड़ी थी. अच्छी बात है कि आज हम वर्चुअल माध्यम से मिल पा रहे हैं. सबसे पहले मैं यूरोपीय कोरोना वायरस के कारण हुई क्षति के लिए संवेदना प्रकट करता हूं. आपके शुरुआती रिमार्क्स के लिए मैं आप दोनों महाशयों का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करता हूं. आपकी तरह मैं भी भारत और ईयू के संबंधों को और विस्तृत और गहरा बनाने के लिए प्रतिबद्ध हूं. इसके लिए हमें एक दीर्घकालीन स्ट्रेटेजिक पर्सपेक्टिव अपनाना चाहिए.
The Prime Minister said that in such a situation, India-EU partnership can play an important role in economic reconstruction and in building a human-centric and humanity-centric globalization.
कोविड-19 के बाद आर्थिक क्षेत्र में वैश्विक स्तर पर नई समस्याएं उत्पन्न हो गई. इसके लिए डेमोक्रेटिक राष्ट्रों के बीच अधिक सहयोग की आवश्यकता हम सब महसूस करते हैं. आज हमारे नागरिकों की सेहत और समृद्धि दोनों ही चुनौतियों का सामना कर रहे हैं. रूल्स बेस्ड इंटरनेशनल ऑर्डर पर विभिन्न प्रकार के दबाव है. ऐसे में भारत ईयू पार्टनरशिप आर्थिक पुनर्निर्माण में और एक मानव केंद्रित और मानवता केंद्रित ग्लोबलाइजेशन के निर्माण में महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभा सकती है.
The Prime Minister said that apart from the current challenges, long-term challenges like climate change are also a priority for both India and the EU.
तत्कालीन चुनौतियों के अलावा क्लाइमेट चेंज जैसे लॉन्ग टर्म चैलेंजेस भी हम दोनों के लिए ही प्राथमिकता है. भारत में रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी के उपयोग को बढ़ाने के हमारे प्रयत्नों में हम यूरोप के इन्वेस्टमेंट और टेक्नोलॉजी का आमंत्रण करते हैं. मैं आशा करता हूं कि इस वर्चुअल समिट के माध्यम से हमारे संबंधों को गति मिलेगी.
The 15th meeting of the India-European Union Summit was co-chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, President of European Council Charles Michel and President of European Commission Ursula von der Leyen. A joint statement of the summit said the leaders have decided to strengthen the India-EU partnership based on shared principles and values of democracy, freedom, rule of law and respect for human rights. aiming at delivering concrete benefits for the people in India and the European Union. As the world's two largest democracies, India and the EU affirmed their determination to promote effective multilateralism and a rule-based multilateral order with the United Nations and the World Trade Organization at its core. They will bolster their cooperation in the international fora to reinforce international security, strengthen preparedness and response for global health emergencies, enhance global economic stability and inclusive growth, implement the Sustainable Development Goals and protect the climate and the environment. The joint statement said the EU is looking forward to India's G20 presidency in 2022 and its membership in the UN Security Council in 2021-22. The External Affairs Ministry has said the India-EU summit was held in a very cordial atmosphere marked by mutual respect and appreciation between the leaders, which has been a hallmark of past interactions between them. Briefing media last evening, Secretary West Vikas Swarup said the EU is one of the largest investors in India with cumulative investment of over $91 billion. Mr. Swarup added, the leaders went into considerable detail in exchanging views on shared challenge of terrorism. He said Pakistan came up for discussion in the context of activities it has been continuing against India and other countries in the region, as well as in context of global terrorism. He said India and EU reaffirmed their strong commitment to global peace and security, disarmament and non-proliferation, and to combat terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. India and the EU agreed to intensify exchanges and cooperation in this regard. Mr. Swarup said as part of the review of global and regional development, India's relations with China did come up. He said the Prime Minister shared countries' views on the India-China relationship in general and the current situation in the border areas.
The United States will impose visa restrictions on certain employees of Chinese tech companies like Huawei that provide material support to regimes engaging in human rights violations and abuses globally. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said yesterday that this will further strain bilateral ties. The U.S. last week imposed sanctions and visa restrictions on 3 senior Chinese officials, including the regional boss of the ruling Communist Party, for alleged human rights abuses targeting Uyghurs, ethnic Kazakhs, and members of other minority groups in the restive Muslim-majority Xinjiang province. The announcement comes a day after the UK announced to ban Huawei from future 5G networks and phase out untrusted Huawei equipment from existing networks. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed a virtual conclave on World Youth Skills Day yesterday, organized by the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. Speaking on the occasion, the Prime Minister stressed on the vital role of skilled migrant workers in changing the local economy. The Prime Minister presented a new mantra for the youth to skill, reskill and upskill in order to remain relevant in the rapidly changing business environment and market conditions. He stated that the Skill India mission launched 5 years back has led to a creation of a vast infrastructure for skilling, reskilling and upskilling and enhancing opportunities to access employment both locally and globally. It has led to hundreds of Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Kendras being set up across the country and increase in the capacity of the ITI ecosystem. Due to these concerted efforts, more than 5 crore youth have been skilled in the last 5 years. The Prime Minister said, Corona crisis has changed the nature of job and the work culture.
The Union Health Ministry has said that the recovery rate from COVID-19 infection has now climbed to 63.24%, with the total number of recovered cases reaching close to 6 lakh. The ministry said 20,572 people infected with the virus were cured during the last 24 hours, taking the total number of recovered cases to 5,92,031. The ministry said the actual caseload of COVID-19 is 3,19,840. It said the gap between recovered and active cases has been consistently growing and it stands at 2,72,191. Participating in AIR News live phone-in program on COVID-19, Vaidya Rajesh Kotecha, Secretary Ministry of Ayush, shared self-care guidelines issued by his ministry to prevent COVID infection.
सेल्फ केयर की जो गाइडलाइंस है वो कई प्रकार की है। जैसे हमने कहा कि घर में आप हल्दी वाला दूध पीजिए, फिर आप नाक के जो प्रवेश द्वार घी लगाइए, तो मुंह में तेल भर के उसको कुल्ला करिए, कवलदान कहते हैं उसको संस्कृत में, कि ऐसा करने से जो एंट्री पॉइंट्स है जिससे इस प्रकार के इन्फेक्शन शरीर के अंदर प्रवेश करते हैं, पेनिट्रेट नहीं कर पाते.
In our series, Experts Speak on All India Radio, we bring you the views of leading medical experts on COVID-19. Talking to AIR News, Dr. Ambuj Roy from the Department of Cardiology of AIIMS advises elderly people and those suffering from other diseases like hypertension and cancer to take extra precautions to avoid this infection.
In the larger population, it has given them time to understand the seriousness of the disease, the precautions they need to take, how to live with this. They have practiced social distancing. The people who already have heart disease, people who have had brain strokes, people who have lung disease, people who have some kind of cancer, they're much more prone to a more severe form of the disease if they get the disease.
In Jharkhand, 316 new COVID-19 cases were confirmed yesterday. It was the biggest ever spike in a single day till now. The total number of COVID-19 cases has crossed the 4,000 mark and presently stands at 4,562. The recovery rate is depleting with more number of cases being detected every single day, which is currently at 54.47%, almost 9% below the national average. The growing number of COVID-19 cases is the biggest concern for the state government after the whole government is functioning in work from home mode. The infection rate of COVID-19 is rapidly taking a steep curve after the infection is growing at a rate of 4.74% in the state, which is more than the national average of 3.36%. A total of 38 people have succumbed to death, while 2 deaths have been reported in the last 24 hours. Meanwhile, 57 people have recovered from the viral infection in the last 24 hours, taking the total number of recoveries in the state to 2,485.
After the recent rise in the number of COVID-19 cases in the state, Hazaribagh and Chatra are reeling under complete lockdown for a week till July 22nd. Several cases from the collectorate, government hospital and police stations have been detected in these two districts. Except essential services, other institutions and units have been closed by the orders of the DCs of both the districts. Meanwhile, no person is being allowed to enter the state without an e-pass. Shilpi, AIR News, Ranchi.
In Bihar, a complete lockdown has been imposed from today for 16 days in the entire state to contain the spread of COVID-19. It will be effective till the 31st of July. The decision has been taken due to an alarming spike in number of COVID-19 cases in the state during the last 3 weeks. All government offices, public corporations and educational institutions will remain closed. Private and commercial establishments will remain closed. However, ration shops, dairy, vegetable and meat shops will remain open. All places of worship will also remain closed and religious gatherings will not be permitted. All kinds of e-commerce and home delivery will be allowed. Public transport service will also be allowed in the lockdown period. However, private vehicles will be limited to essential work only. Train and flight services and all construction-related activities will be allowed along with the functioning of construction-related shops. Similarly, agriculture-related activities will also be allowed. 1,320 new COVID-19 cases were reported during the last 24 hours. The total number of affected people in the state has reached 20,173, while 13,533 people have recovered so far. The recovery rate in Bihar stands at over 67%. In all, 174 people, including 2 doctors, have died due to coronavirus in the state so far. Apart from this, 69 security officials of Raj Bhavan and Patna High Court also tested positive for the virus.
In Uttar Pradesh, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has asked to pay special attention to cities like Lucknow, Kanpur, Amroha and Jhansi, where number of COVID patients are increasing regularly. The state yesterday tested more than 45,000 samples for coronavirus infection. This is the highest number of tests conducted by any state in a single day. A report.
Additional Chief Secretary, Medical Education, Rajneesh Dubey said that more than 12 lakh samples of the patients have been tested in the state so far. It took 4 months to complete the test of 6 lakh people in the state, while the another 6 lakh samples were tested in last 20 days only, which is a record. Currently, there are 14,628 active cases of COVID patients and more than 25,000 patients have been discharged after proper recovery. The special health screening drive, which was launched in 17 divisions of the state, ended yesterday, and health screening of more than 18 crore people was conducted during this period. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
In Uttarakhand, a total of 81 people recovered from the coronavirus yesterday, taking the total number of recovered people to 2,948 in the state. With 104 fresh cases, the COVID-19 tally reached 3,785 in the state. According to officials, the state recovery rate is now 77.88% and infection rate is 4.13%. The maximum number of infections were reported from Dehradun. The district also reported the maximum recoveries as 32 people were discharged from hospitals and Vivid Care centers in Dehradun.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India-European Union partnership can play an important role in economic reconstruction and humanity-centric globalization. Prime Minister presents new mantra for youth to skill, reskill and upskill to remain relevant in changing business environment. Fortnight-long lockdown imposed in Bihar from today to control the spread of coronavirus. Health Ministry says recovery rate of COVID-19 improves to 63.24% in the country. Nearly 6 lakh people have recovered so far. World Health Organization and UNICEF warn against decline in number of children receiving life-saving vaccines around the world due to the pandemic. Flood fury continues in Assam. Chief Minister Sarbananda Sonowal to take stock of Kaziranga National Park today. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, there has been no let-up in the number of positive COVID-19 cases being reported. The authorities are relentlessly reaching out to people on a daily basis and seeking their cooperation for the effective adherence to advisories in containing the spread of coronavirus cases being reported in the Kashmir division. More from our Srinagar correspondent.
Jammu and Kashmir yesterday witnessed the highest ever surge of 493 cases, taking the total number of coronavirus positive cases to 11,666. Among the cases, 57 were reported from Jammu, whereas the highest 436 cases were reported from Kashmir division. 11 fatalities have also taken place in Kashmir Valley. Keeping in view of the alarming spike, especially in Kashmir division, Basir Ahmad Khan, advisor to Lieutenant Governor, has appealed to the people to religiously follow the SOPs like wearing face masks, use sanitizers, and maintain social distancing norms so as to contain the alarming spread of the contagion. This is Sunil Kohl, AR News from Srinagar.
In Punjab, 288 new cases were reported positive for COVID-19. 204 patients were discharged from various hospitals post-recovery and 8 corona people lost their lives yesterday. Our correspondent reports out of total 288 cases found positive during the last 24 hours, 92 are from Jalandhar and 61 are from Ludhiana. With this, the number of positive persons found so far in the state has risen to 8,799 and the number of recovered patients has also risen to 5,867. A total of 221 deaths have also been reported so far in the state. Punjab Chief Minister Captain Amrinder Singh has urged all his ministers as well as MLAs and secretaries to get themselves tested for the novel coronavirus a day after his colleague Tript Rajinder Singh Bajwa tested positive for COVID-19. Our correspondent reports that the Chief Minister also underwent the test and was found negative. Captain Amrinder Singh has called upon all people of the state to go for testing at the first sign of symptom or suspicion of having COVID infection. He stressed early detection is the way to beat the disease and check fatalities.
In Madhya Pradesh, the COVID-19 case count climbed to 19,643 in addition of 638 new cases in the last 24 hours. The death toll in the state has now risen to 682. The state has 1,868 active containment zones.
A total of 333 persons were discharged from hospitals yesterday, taking the number of the recovered cases to 13,908. As per the State Health Bulletin, the number of cases in Indore, the worst district, rose to 5,496 and death toll to 278. The number of cases in capital Bhopal stood at 3,782, including 125 fatalities. A total of 5,40,000 tests have been conducted in Madhya Pradesh so far, and the number of positive cases in these tests is 3.4%. No new coronavirus case was reported from 8 districts since yesterday, while Panna district did not have any active cases. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
In Rajasthan, the COVID-19 infection is increasing rapidly. More than 500 cases have been confirmed every day for the past 15 days. Yesterday, a record 866 persons tested positive in the state. This is the largest number of people testing positive in a single day. More from our correspondent.
The total number of infected people in the state has increased to 26,437, out of which 19,500 people have been recovered. Due to the rapidly increasing cases of infection, the recovery rate has come down from 80% to 73%. After the start of business activities, workers working in the Bhiwadi industrial area of Alwar districts are being found positive in a large number. Jitendra Dwivedi, AIR News, Jaipur.
In Gujarat, the doubling rate of COVID-19 cases has increased to 32 days. Earlier it was 9 days. This was announced by State Deputy Chief Minister and Health Minister Nitin Patel at a press conference in Gandhinagar last evening. Mr. Patel said that Gujarat has 43,051 COVID beds. Our correspondent reports that the state has recorded 925 new cases of COVID-19 during the last 24 hours.
Though the new cases in the state are constantly increasing, the big relief is the recovery rate has gone up to 70%. With 925 new cases during the last 24 hours, the total number of cases in the state has gone up to 44,648. 10 patients have lost their lives yesterday, taking the total death up to 2,081. Out of 11,221 active cases in the state, the conditions of 68 patients are serious. 791 patients have been discharged after recovery during the last 24 hours. With this, the total patients recovered from COVID-19 have gone up to 31,346. More than 4,87,000 tests have been carried out in the state till date. Yogesh Pandya, AR News, Ahmedabad.
Maharashtra government will form a committee to fix the prices of face masks and hand sanitizers so that no exorbitant rates are charged. Public Health Minister Rajesh Tope said this yesterday. Details in this report.
The use of masks and sanitizers has increased due to the spread of coronavirus. A committee will be formed to fix their prices. The Maharashtra government will also ask the centre to bring masks and sanitizers under the purview of Essential Commodities Act. Meanwhile, Maharashtra government will set up an online mechanism for sale and purchase of goods for upcoming Bakri Eid festival. State Minister Aslam Sheikh has informed this and said that no permission will be given to celebrate any festival in coronavirus containment zone. Markets will be allowed only on open ground, while big markets like Devnar will not be permitted this time. Nivedita, AIR News, Mumbai.
In Karnataka, 3,176 new COVID-positive cases were reported yesterday, taking the total to 47,253 in the state. Yesterday, 1,076 patients were discharged after recovery from various hospitals in the state, and the total number of patients recovered so far has increased to 18,466. On a single day, 87 patients succumbed to the disease, taking the total number of deaths to 928. The Medical Education Officer, Dr. K. Sudhakar, appealed to the recovered people to donate plasma and save lives of critical patients. He also announced financial assistance of 5,000 rupees to every plasma donor as a mark of encouragement and appreciation. He said that in the next 15 days, 58 medical colleges in the state together will be able to test about 30,000 samples every day. The private hospitals and labs together will be able to test another 10,000 samples per day, and altogether the testing capacity in the state will be stepped up to 40,000 to 50,000 per day. This is the true story of conquest over COVID virus by Nagalakshmi Kadur, a woman in Bengaluru, Karnataka. She contracted the virus from her brother and underwent successful treatment in Victoria COVID Hospital. Our correspondent brings us the report on the recovery of a positive patient.
Nagalakshmi Kadur and her brother are both dependent on dialysis. For their misfortune, they contracted virus and were shifted to Victoria Hospital with their 78-year-old father. During 14 days of isolation in the hospital, she says they were provided dialysis service, good food and medical care. A poet by heart, she says confidence, willpower and kind words from hospital staff and fellow patients helped her and her brother cure the infection.
It was my confidence that helped me to face the virus without an anxiety. The doctors and the other staff in Victoria Hospital were very, very supportive. I'm completely fine today.
Nagalakshmi Kadur says people getting discharged from her ward that gave her confidence that coronavirus can be vanquished with firm mind. Sudhindra, AIR News, Bengaluru.
Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Edappadi Palaniswamy has said that the future course of the unlock in the state will be decided in due time. Talking to reporters at Salem yesterday, he said the decisions will be based on the centre's guidelines, the prevailing situation in the state and the actions being taken in other states. The total coronavirus infections in the state crossed 1,50,000 mark yesterday, with 4,496 people newly testing positive. More from our correspondent.
In Tamil Nadu, though the total COVID-19 infection has surged past the 1.5 lakh mark, those under treatment are nearly 48,000 only. About 63.4% of the patients have recovered and most of the active cases are stable. The mortality rate is under 1.43%. For the past many days, the number of tests being conducted every day is over 40,000. These parameters are considered positive signs. However, epidemiologists say one cannot be complacent as the past record may not be an indication of the future. Jai Singh, AIR News, Chennai.
The World Health Organization and the UNICEF have warned of an alarming decline in the number of children receiving life-saving vaccines around the world. This is due to disruptions in the delivery and uptake of immunization services caused by COVID-19 pandemic. According to new data by the WHO and the UNICEF, these disruptions threaten to reverse the hard-won progress to reach more children and adolescents with a wider range of vaccines, which has already been hampered by a decade of stalling coverage. Over 3,000 villages are inundated due to floods in Assam. The Brahmaputra is flowing above the danger level at 5 places. More than 36 lakh people have been affected in the current wave of floods in 26 districts. Flood water also caused damage to rural roads, embankments, bridges and crop areas. In all, 66 people have lost their lives so far in the state due to floods. Now let us take a look at the weather updates for today. National capital Delhi may have a generally cloudy sky with light rain. Minimum temperature was recorded at 29 degrees Celsius while the maximum is expected to be around 37 degrees. Mumbai will have a generally cloudy sky with heavy rain. The city had a minimum temperature of 25 and will have a maximum of around 28 degrees Celsius. In Chennai, the temperature will hover between 27 and 35 degrees Celsius. In Jammu and Kashmir, the minimum temperature was 26 in Jammu, while maximum will be around 36. The city is likely to have a partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. In Srinagar, the temperature will hover between 16 and 32 degrees Celsius. In Gilgit, the minimum temperature was recorded at 19, while the maximum will be around 28. Muzaffarabad will see a partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm. The minimum temperature of 20 was recorded, while maximum temperature will be around 37 degrees.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. Google picking up 7.7% stake in Jio platforms is highlighted by several dailies. The Indian Express writes Google to invest 33,737 crore rupees in Jio to develop entry-level smartphone. RIL announces homegrown 5G solution, headlines the Economic Times. The Trump administration's U-turn on visa policy is the lead story in the Hindustan Times. Relief for students as U.S. rolls back visa rule. Under the policy, international students in the U.S. have been prohibited from taking all their courses online this fall. Reporting on Rajasthan's political turbulence, the Times of India writes, Speaker slaps anti-defection notice on pilot, 18 other MLAs. Sachin Pilot says he is not joining the BJP, headlines the Statesman. Gehlot slams the door, but leadership keeps a window open for Pilot, reports the Indian Express. Analyzing the CBSE Class 10 result, the Times of India says, unlike Class 12, big drop in CBSE Class 10th, 90-plus scorers. And with that, it's back to you, Tanvi.
Thank you, Pramod. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India-European Union partnership can play an important role in economic reconstruction and humanity-centric globalization. Prime Minister presents new mantra for youth to skill, reskill and upskill to remain relevant in changing business environment. Fortnight-long lockdown imposed in Bihar from today to control the spread of coronavirus. Health Ministry says recovery rate of COVID-19 improved to 63.24% in the country. Nearly 6 lakh people recovered so far. World Health Organization and UNICEF warn against decline in number of children receiving life-saving vaccines around the world due to the pandemic. And with that we end the morning news. Have a nice day.